What is it that makes native sounding English actually sound native? Is it the speed? No. Well then, what is it? How can I sound natural and native when I speak English? That's what I'm going to answer in this video, and it may not be what you think. So stay tuned. I think you're going to get a lot out of it. You're going to learn how to sound more natural when you speak English. If you have any questions, leave those in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And now let's get into it. One of the reasons that native English sounds native is that it flows. It's fluent. It sounds natural. And it has nothing to do with speed. So I'd like to get this idea out of your head. Natural pronunciation, fluent speech must be fast. If I want my English to be better, it should be faster. Wrong. 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 Do I sound natural right now when I'm speaking? If the answer is yes, then that's wrong. So what is it? What is it? Well, there are a number of different things. And if you want a lot of depth on this, definitely check out my full courses where I really talk about this stuff in depth. But one very important piece is the way that sentences are pronounced as a whole. So when you look at a sentence and you want to say it, or when you're thinking of a sentence and you want to say that, you shouldn't think of it on a word-by-word basis, word by word. And you definitely shouldn't say it that way. If you listen carefully to what I'm saying now, I wonder if you notice anything interesting about how I'm saying what I'm saying. So notice how slow that was. It still sounded very natural. What I'm doing is connecting sounds together. And the sounds I'm connecting together are voiced sounds. That means I'm using my voice. And I will jump between words if there's no unvoiced sound to break them up, basically. So unvoiced would be like sh, k, t, s, b. No, not b. P. I meant to make a p sound, not a b sound. Not b. B is voiced. So this is not something you have to do, but it's something that you can start to work on to make your speech sound more fluid, more natural, more organic, more native, right? So let's just take a quick example, and then we're going to look at some whole sentences and practice those a bit. Let's look at two words together, right? Native English. Okay. Now, this could be pronounced as native, but because the T is in the middle of the word, followed by a vowel sound, this will often be pronounced as a D. Now, we look at the last sound in this word and we see that it's V. Yes, there's an E there, but it's actually V, right? And we look at the first sound in this word and it's E, right? Which is voiced. So voiced and voiced. And is there anything unvoiced going on here? Well, if we pronounce this as T, then it's unvoiced, but we're going to pronounce it as D. D is a light D sound. And this is unvoiced. Sh, right? Unvoiced. Okay, so the sniff, that's unvoiced. Sorry about that. Okay, so how do we say this? Well, a native English speaker would say native English. Now let's slow that down. Native English. Native English. So that native allows you to keep your voice flowing. That's your voice. There's no stop now. We change that to a D. You can't always change T's to D's, to be clear. But in this case, you can. Native English. And it almost sounds like Vinglish, right? Instead of native English, it's native Vinglish. So a couple things are happening here. We got the D sound instead of the T. And then what we're doing is we're kind of, in the way that we say it, in the flow, we're making these two, we're kind of changing the way that we say these two. Native stops, and English starts hard, right? But instead what we're doing here is kind of combining these into one syllable, pushing the second syllable of this word, actually, the end of this syllable, into the beginning of the next word. So actually, this part is native. Native is now the two syllables. Nay, like nay, and I'll make that how it is. Nay, and then di, native. And then the next syllable is actually ving. So that's like ving, Vinglish, and then the glish goes into the next syllable. Maybe that should be split right there. Anyway, you get the idea, right? So I'm pushing the last sound of the first word into the next word, the first syllable of the next word, and I'm continuing my voice. So the other thing that's happening here is that the voice does not stop. Native Vinglish. Okay. So that's different than saying native English, which sounds very robotic and choppy. We don't like that. Native English. Notice how light that D is, by the way. Okay. So we get the idea. Now, we want to try to put it into practice. So let's actually write down a few words. I mean sentences. When I say words, I mean words that make sentences. My brain, what's wrong with it? Okay, so let's try this. Let's do, what are you planning to do now that you don't have a job? Okay? So there's our sentence. Now, some of these things we can change. So for this one, because we have the T and it's followed by this vowel sound, we can generally change that to a D sound. We're going to put those together. So it's going to be wa and then dar, but it's going to be lighter than that. What are, okay? Now, for this one, we can't do that. Tu will be pronounced sort of like this, ta, like that. So we have to break. We're going to continue the voice throughout this whole thing. We're going to continue the voice, and then we'll stop the voice right there with ta, and then continue with it's going to sound like this, ta-do, do now, and the voice will continue here, now, and then this is voiced that, right? So we'll continue the voice through that. But here we cannot do the D sound. This, instead of saying that, we'll use what we call a stop T, or what I call a stop T. So the voice will stop there, but it won't sound like that. It'll sound like this. That. That. So the voice will stop there, okay? And then we'll continue here. You don't. And again, stop. Now that you don't. So there'll be two stops there, right? Stop, stop. Because of the T, the voice will stop. And then have a job will continue the voice, okay? So there's a lot going on even in this very short sentence. So we're using the D there to replace the T. We are rolling the voice through all of these. The voice is going to stop because of the T at the beginning and the T at the end. Notice that T's often cause stops. When we can't change a T to a D, it will stop the voice either because it's at the beginning of the word or because it's at the end of a word and it is the stop T sound, which is at, don't, that, don't, it's that stop sound, right? Okay. Here we go. You want to try with me? How about this? Listen to me say it once, then I'll just leave a space for you. And I want you to say it out loud. Okay? Try it. Try it yourself. I'm going to read the whole sentence, and then you just say it. I'll give you a space, and then I'll do it more quickly. All right, here we go. Just listen first. Don't try to say it at the same time as me. Listen. It's a weird throat noise. Hold on. Sipped. I need a sip. Better. Listen first, then try. Here we go. What are you planning to do now that you don't have a job? What are you planning to do now that you don't have a job? What are you planning to do now that you don't have a job? What are you planning to do now that you don't have a job? Too fast for me. What are you planning to do now that you don't have a job? Okay, maybe that one's too hard, right? But I hope now you're getting the idea. There's a lot here. This is something that I cover in a lot more detail with a lot more practice in my pronunciation courses. All different levels of pronunciation courses. I think I have 4 pronunciation courses at this point. One is Advanced American English Pronunciation, definitely worth checking out. So, practice this, but I just hope I can make you accept this, that it's not about speed, it's about flow. It's about these things and other things, but these are 2 key pieces. What are these key pieces? That we're replacing letters, especially T with D, that we are continuing the voice, and actually a third thing, that we're often using the last sound of the previous word as the first sound of the next word instead, right? Like native Vinglish. Vinglish, that's not a word, but it does sound like that. That helps us link those 2 words together in a natural way. And I do want to just say, there's no rule that says you have to do this. Pause. You have to pause sometimes. Sometimes you need to breathe, right? So if someone said, for example, what are you planning to do now that you don't have a job? There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to do it. I'm just saying this is one of the key pieces that allows natural, fluent sounding English to sound that way, okay? Practice this. I will give you 1 sentence for the road, meaning for you to practice on your own. If you have any questions, let me know. Here's the sentence that you can practice by yourself. Colorado is one of the top destinations for snowboarders. Colorado is one of the destinations for snowboarders. That sounds bad. Don't do that. Try it yourself. Here we have stop there, right? Destinations. The voice will stop there. Asians. This one is not a t sound, but is part of the sh sounds. So sh will be unvoiced, right? And then otherwise should be should be voiced. Should be voiced. Okay, so try that out. Let me know how it goes. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. If you haven't done so already, don't forget to hit the like button, and also please subscribe and get a free English course in the links in the description.